Hi friends, I'm Hilton Carter, plant stylist and author, and I'm here in my home in Baltimore, Maryland in the US, where I tend to over 200 plants, and I hope that through the next few minutes I can bring a little bit of light and lushness to you as well. And today I'm going to talk you through how I go about bringing plants into a space, making the environment, the home, feel more lush, vibrant, and of course alive with this Q&A that most of you in the plant community participated in through this talk with Nespresso Editions. Now when it comes to plants and plant care and bringing in plants into a home, for me, what really got me excited about it was when I walked into environments that had plants dripping from the ceilings to the floors and at every angle, and I knew that there was something that I was missing in my own life. Bringing in greenery into a home, an office, whatever space you're in, can change everything about not only that space, but how you interact with that space and how you actually feel your emotions while in that particular environment. And I knew I wanted that in my world. I knew I wanted that in my home. I knew I wanted that to be a part of my life. When I first started finding my passion, finding the moment that I was really in love with bringing greenery into the spaces that I dwelled in, I knew that there was something that was changing in me. Not only can plants make a space feel more warm and inviting, they can also make you feel more excited about life. They can also change the way you're thinking about things. They can make you more creative. While they have the benefits of cleaning the air or bringing more oxygen, I'll say, to a space, what they can do is make you feel like you are full of not only the happiness of being someone that can nurture, but you can also be cared for by those plants. So for me, when I'm bringing in plants, there's something about every single individual plant that helps change that space. While you might have a home that has a lot of hard corners, greenery can help soften those corners, round out those hard edges. Back in 2014 was probably the first year that I pushed myself into becoming what most of us call ourselves plant parents. So when I started my journey in greenery, for me it was all about understanding what type of plants that could really make my space have that sort of wow factor. I thought that idea of being able to blur the line between indoor and outdoor could shift everything about how I lived and those who entered into my home. So when it comes to being a plant stylist, someone that needs to have an eye for where to place a plant, what types of planters have been placed a plant in, I always try to consider the space in the home and where you can get a bit creative. Whether you're gonna have, let's say, a plant throne, or whether you're gonna hang a plant in a hammock. And when it comes to having coffee, that is like my go-to. That's how I start my daily routine. I wake up and the first thing I need is coffee. So to elevate any coffee corner, for me, it's gotta have some sort of jungle element to it, right? In a situation like this for a coffee corner, why not put plants there that I know I'm gonna have to tend to, care for more often, that need that attention? So in my coffee corner that I visit every single morning, I make sure I put plants around it that I have to care for every morning. Water, mist, so ferns, calatheas, orchids. I make sure that I surround it not only by those types of plants, by putting in different size plants, different variations of color, foliage with shape and design. That not only heightens it when it comes to the lushness of that coffee corner, but it also helps when it comes to the look and feel. So it's all about understanding where do you push your energy, where do you place these plants to not only give them the right sort of care, but to also provide you with the right sort of look and the right sort of style. So now we're going to answer questions from the plant community. First question is, how many hours do I spend caring for my plants daily? If I add the hours up weekly, I probably spend about 4 to 5 hours weekly tending to my plants. Daily, it all depends on what types of plants I'm actually caring for. Now, when it comes to my ferns and calatheas that I mentioned, I'm actually walking around and checking in on them almost daily, but that's only taking about half hour, 10 minutes probably each day. But then I go in at least once, maybe twice a week when it comes to watering plants, when it comes to misting some of these plants. Those are the moments that add up throughout the day and time. The next question, how do you keep pests away from your plants? Well, when it comes to pests, the best way to make sure that you can keep the infestation down when it comes to bugs is honestly to make sure that you are paying attention to that plant. I tell folks, when it comes to care, always make yourself aware of that plant. Get in there, visit that plant. If you're in there checking on the leaves, wiping the leaves down, checking under the leaves, you'll always be there to make sure that there isn't any sort of bugs that are taking place. Because when you see one bug, if you can take care of it there, right then and there, then you're able to make sure or mitigate having any sort of issues in the future. Next question. How often do you change the water in your propagation vessels? When it comes to propagating and when and how you should change out your water, for me, it's always about thinking about what happens in that water. You need to be able to see when that water is changing and how the things in that particular vessel are building up. So I tell people, when you place any sort of cuttings in a vessel, make sure that that vessel is clear. So I have my cuttings in test tubes so that I can see when that water starts to shift, because that water will start to build up a bit of algae, bacteria will start to build up, and that can make any of your cuttings, your roots, start to rot, and that's not what you want. So when you start to see that water maybe change in color at all, maybe it turns a bit brown, maybe it turns a bit green and gross, that's your opportunity to dump out that gross water, clean out your vessel and put in fresh water, and that's important. So being able to see when that water shifts at all and changes in color, that's the time when you want to dump that water out and replace it with fresh water. The next question is, how often should you repot your plant? Well, when it comes to repotting a plant, your plant will tell you. And I want to say this, when it comes to repotting a plant, it really is about the size of the root system. The roots in your plants will let you know when they want to go up in size in their pot. Those roots will start to make their way either out of the drainage hole of your pot or start to creep on the top layer of the soil. So once you start to see that root or roots coming out of your drainage hole, that is a clear sign that that plant needs to be repotted. And when you do decide to repot that plant, make sure you place it in a pot that is 2 inches in diameter, larger than your previous pot. It's all about that root size, the root ball, the root system, and the size of it in comparison to the size of your pot. The last question is there something that you know now that you wish you knew then? If anything that I wish I knew then that I know now, when I decide to bring a plant into my home, then I'm considering first the spot where I'm gonna place that plant. And based on the light that the spot that I'm bringing that plant in, that is the type of plant. Only plants that can thrive in that light, that's what I'll bring in. There were so many times when I just made decisions based on my own personal selfish wants. And at the end of the day, I saw that plant die and suffer. So I wish back then I could have known that the best opportunities, the best chances for a plant's survival to thrive is to make sure that you're providing them with the exact type of light that plant needs. Because at the end of the day, it's all about finding a spot where that plant can thrive, not just survive. And that's just important. So yeah, that is how you're going to go about making your space more lush, making that coffee corner something special. For me, when it comes to taking that coffee break, it's all about making sure that I feel myself surrounded by the things I love, and of course, that's plants. I encourage all of you to use the hashtag Nespresso Editions to show all of us how you love your coffee and how you take that coffee break.